Hi, kindergarten. We are going to continue learning about the weather today. Actually more about seasons, but we're going to learn about what the weather is like in our next season, which is spring. So I'm really excited. Now remember, right now it is February 2021, and today is Monday, February 22nd. That's a Monday, and it's the 22nd day in our month of February. This is what a calendar looks like, and we are right there. Our first word today is floods. Floods are when a body of water overflows and spreads out onto dry land. So right now you can see this road is covered with water. That's because of a flood. This word is gradually. Gradually means slowly, bit by bit. So as you can see, someone is gradually eating this apple and gradually eating this pear, bit by bit. And our last word today is thaw. Now, thaw means to melt or soften after being frozen. So you can see in this picture that there was a little tree branch that was covered with ice, but the ice is melting and dripping off. That's what's going to happen to our trees after this snowstorm. After they've frozen, they're going to melt, which is called thawing. So when something thaws, it melts. Okay, so we know that different parts of Earth experience different types of weather, right? It's not the same type of weather all over the world. It's different. But in most of the United States, there are 4 seasons, and that each season has distinct characteristics. So far, we've learned about winter, which is the season that we are in right now. What's the weather like in winter again? What kind of clothing do you wear in winter? What kind of food do you eat in winter? What kind of activities do you do in winter? I loved watching your seesaws where you talked about loving snowball fights and playing in the snow. It's pretty cool. So, after winter, the next season in the cycle is spring. So excited. So, spring is normally beginning in March, and it includes the months of April and May. So March, April, May. Our current date is in February, so March is next month, okay? So right now we're not in spring. Right now we are in winter. And I'm actually going to need your help during this read aloud, because whenever you hear the word spring, you're going to hold up your hand like you're looking at a flower and smelling them like this. Spring. Because spring always has beautiful flowers. But I don't want to give too much away because you're going to learn about that. Our main topic of today's lesson is spring. And you're going to hear another letter from your pen pal telling you about the season of spring in Washington, D.C., right where we are. Listen carefully to find out about the different characteristics of spring. Here we go. Dear kindergartners, after winter, the next season is spring. Here, spring means the time of year when flowers bloom. Don't forget to sniff your flower. Spring arrives gradually, bit by bit, beginning in mid-March, and it continues through the months of April and May. The air warms and the ground begins to thaw, so the snow and ice begin to melt and the ground is no longer hard and frozen, because the days are longer and there's more sunlight. The rivers and streams fill with water from all the melted snow and ice. Tiny green leaves appear on some tree branches. A few new plants may also start to peek up out of the soil here and there. Hibernating animals wake up from their winter sleep. These are all signs that spring has sprung. Spring is a very windy season. Some people say, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. That means that the weather in spring changes from being stormy and windy with the strength and power of a lion in the beginning to calmer and milder by the end like a soft, gentle lamb. In fact, the windy beginning of spring is a perfect time to fly a kite. In addition to wind, there are also many rainy days in early spring, particularly in March and April. I love when I get to wear my raincoat coat and rain boots because then I can splash in puddles. Sometimes after a spring rain shower, you can see a colorful rainbow in the sky. There's another old saying that tells us, April showers brings May flowers. This means that the rains of April help flowering plants grow big and healthy so they produce beautiful fragrant flowers in May and throughout the summer. The world outside truly changes during spring. Flowers are one of the most important signs of spring because they tell you that the plant world has come to life again. Soon bees will be buzzing among the flowers, birds will be chirping in the leafy trees, and the afternoon hours will be warm and pleasant. Washington, D.C. is famous for the cherry blossoms that bloom here each spring. They're right here. In April, the cherry trees throughout the city burst into bloom, and millions of brilliant pink and white flowers show that spring is here. My parents and I have a special spring picnic every year under the cherry blossoms. Oh no, it went way backwards. There we go. Spring is an important time on farms too. For the farmer, it's time to get back out in the fields. The farmer must plow his soil and prepare it for planting. He plows the field in order to stir up the soil's nutrients. Remember, that's food for plants. And loosen the ground so that new seeds will be able to take root. When the time is right, the farmer will go through his plowed fields and plant his seeds in neat rows. A couple of weeks later, the fields will be brimming with the little green seedlings or young plants. And by summer, you won't be able to see the brown soil at all beneath the big green plants. Spring is also an important time for the animals on the farm. Many animals give birth to new baby animals in the springtime. The barnyard and fields are full of baby animals whose mothers nurse and care for them as they grow. Baby horses, called foals, frolic in the fields, lambs nuzzle close to their mother, and ducklings line up and follow their mother duck to the pond. Washington, D.C. was built along the banks of the Potomac River. Banks are the land that's alongside a river. Rivers usually reach their highest level during spring. Melted snow from the surrounding fields and mountains drain into creeks and seeps through the ground to reach the river, where it will be eventually flow out to the sea. Sometimes the river water becomes so high it floods or overflows its banks. Several holidays are celebrated during the springtime. On the Christian holiday of Easter, people often go Easter egg hunting to look for decorated eggs or get an Easter basket full of candy. During the Jewish holiday of Passover, special food is served to family and friends at the Passover Seder. The Hindu holiday of Holi is a festival of colors during which people celebrate the colors of springtime by dancing, singing, and sprinkling colored water on each other. What holiday does your family celebrate in spring? Does your family celebrate a holiday? Another important holiday called Memorial Day is celebrated on the last day in May. It's the last Monday in May. Not the last day, just the last Monday. And on this day, we honored the American people who have fought and died in different wars to protect the United States. Many people also celebrate Memorial Day with parades, picnics, barbecues, and family gatherings. In Washington, D.C., there's the big concert to celebrate. What is spring like where you live? Is it any different from spring here? Your friend, Annie. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on springtime. Make sure you click on the exit ticket below. See you later, kindergarten.